Hey there, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Violet Vixen. Tonight we are cooking something for dinner that's going to take a little bit longer, but the good thing about this is you can pop it on the stovetop, do something for an hour, come back, cook some rice and dish up and away you go. And it should freeze really well because this serves 6 people. So it is called beef rendang. So judging from what it says on my jar, it's a Malaysian recipe, so should be good. Okay, so we don't need much. We need the stovetop and a large saucepan. I'll use my large one that's not high but wide so you can see what's going on when we check in from time to time. So come on in and I'll show you the rest of the ingredients. All right, as you can see them in the distance, there's not many ingredients, which is what I love. Now, I did show you my ingredient sheet. However, recipe is probably a bit of an old recipe, as are most in my scrapbooks or cookbooks. So 50-gram packet of Indonesian rendang curry paste. Could not find it. I went to Coles. Woolworths, you might have better luck. I don't know. So I found Ayam's brand of Malaysian rendang. When I read the back of the recipe, it says to use the whole jar for their recipe. So I'm just going to use the whole jar. So unfortunately, I'm not cooking it as I'd like to cook it, but I think this will be close enough. And I've never had any issues with this brand. It's always been very good. So we also need some olive oil, and I like to spray the saucepan. As you may know, those that have watched this for a while, you will thank me when you're washing up when you spray it first. 2 cans of coconut milk. I've gone with Coles brand of light coconut milk. 1.2 kilos of gravy beef or chuck steak cut into 3cm cubes. I gave this as a task to my awesome butcher, and this is what he gave me. I don't know what's in it. All I know is that's it in there. Half a cup of shredded coconut, which we are going to lightly toast. That's going in later. That one's really nice too. Chopped red chili. I've got a munted one and a semi-munted one. So I think the munted one's going in the bin, and I'm probably going to use that one. That is just to garnish the top. So don't stress if you don't have chili. If you don't like chili, don't worry about it at all, but they've been sitting in the fridge for a while. And some coriander leaves. I think I've got some in the freezer. I'll find them out later. I just wanted to get started on this. Do some boiled rice to serve. And yeah, so as I said, pretty easy. It's going to take us probably about not even 5 minutes to get this cooking. So anything like that on a weeknight is a bonus. All right, so grab that saucepan or a wok. Probably, I might use my wok. Yeah, I don't need to cover it. Normally, if I need to cover it, I will use a saucepan, but I'll use the wok. So I'm going to grab that and we'll get ready to fly. So I have 2 types of woks. I have my stovetop wok and I have my electric wok. I'm going to use my stovetop wok. Oh, I really wish that I hadn't touched that. Looks like I've got to do a bit more cleaning in my kitchen. I'm going to use my stovetop wok so that I can pop it onto simmer. I'll use this back burner here, but you should be able to see into here. I've sort of got to remember that some of my saucepans are a little bit too tall. So once you get it sprayed, crank it onto 6 or high heat. And then you want 2 to 3 tablespoons of oil. I'd go with 3 tablespoons because it's probably going to be better. But the way I see this recipe is basically the beef is going to simmer for an hour in coconut milk. So to me, it sounds pretty alright. As I said, especially for a weekday meal. I was thinking of doing it in the slow cooker, but then I thought, oh, what if it dries out? What if I do it overnight? So that's why I decided against it. If it had water in it, I would do it, but I didn't want to be watering this down. Okay, so we are going to add the curry paste first. When I open it, of course. So don't forget, if you're lucky, you'll have the sachet. I did look, I could not find that, so that's why I went with this brand. Ooh, it's pretty strong, but Malaysian beef rendang is a very similar recipe on the side there, and that serves 6, and they've said to use the whole jar, so that's why I'm going down that path as well. Alright, crank that in. Now if you can't get it all out, normally I say to deglaze things with water. However, we're not using water in this, we are using coconut milk. So technically we can deglaze it with coconut milk. Alright, so that should start to get pretty fragrant pretty quick. I've never used this before, so I don't know how strong a curry it is, but it should be pretty awesome though. Alright, so just chop it up a little bit, break it up there. Alright, you can start to see it getting hot now, which is exactly what I want anyway. We are going to, once that is fragrant, we're going to add the coconut milk. So we'll have to put the gloves on a little bit later to chop up the chili. That is a later thing though. Alright, you can see that's starting to get really hot now. This is why it is good to cook in a wok. Everything gets really hot. I'm going to open one can first. Get that straight in. Now we want to try and avoid putting any water with this because we don't want to water down that coconut taste. So normally I'd say rinse that out, but I'm not going to. Just try and get it stirred in so you haven't got any lumps. And then with the second jar, that's where we're going to try and deglaze the jar. Well, I don't think we need to try it too hard somehow. Just go like that. Get a bit of it out. Pop on your lid. Shake it all about. Tip that in. Alright. That's pretty deglazed. I'd leave it at that. If you're into keeping jars, wash that one out. If not, then wash it out and recycle it. Into the recycling bin it goes. Alright. Pop in the rest of this. Excellent. Look at that. Now, I'm going to let that simmer for a while. That's going to get really fragrant. Right, so get that beef ready. Just give it a stir occasionally. We just want to bring it up to a boil, and then we're going to simmer it. As you can see, we've got that nice colour. There appears to only be one lump in there, hopefully. If you get any lumps, just push them up against the side and just smash them with your stirring stick. There we go. So this is going to be a pretty late dinner for me because I'm trying not to eat this late, but I'm going to get this cooked. As I said, at least while this is cooking, I can go and do some other stuff and then come back to it. Rice doesn't take long. Make enough rice to serve 6. If you're freezing it, you can freeze it with the rice in it as well. Might be easier to just freeze it with the rice on the bottom. Alright. That's looking pretty good. You can see it starting to steam. Okay, so once that comes to a simmer, we are going to add the beef. It's just getting it to a simmer. And if you watch it, it will never boil as well. So I can tell you that for sure. Okay, I'm just going to get a half a cup ready for when I do that. I've still got to chop the chilli up and then go and look for coriander. But they're all later things. Got an hour when this beef goes in and I start simmering it, an hour. If you do want to do it in the slow cooker, I would probably do it on high for 4 hours or on low for 8 hours, but you do have to make sure that it doesn't dry boil. And the downside to that is you will end up having to add water, and that's going to water down that coconut. So that's why I did not do this in the slow cooker. But it would have been really fragrant all night if I had of. Alright, we're nearly at the boil. Okay, we're simmering away beautifully. Now we want to start and get that beef going into its bath. Oh, look at that. Wow. Alright, I don't think I need to... yeah, I'll just chuck it through the colander and give it a quick wash. I'm not as worried about washing the beef as I am with the chicken, but probably better to get the blood off it. Sorry if that sounds horrible, but should always try and wash the meat if you can. Oh, he's cut it up lovely. This cut of steak is always really good when you slow cooker it, because it becomes really tender. So some of it looks sort of big chunks, but I'm just going to feed it in. Almost feels like I'm feeding alligators. I hope not. There's no alligators in this. Look at that. So you probably find this is chuck steak. Chuck steak is a tough steak for eating, but fantastic for casseroles, stews, curries, basically anything where you're simmering it in something. So it becomes a very economical way of having your meat without, you know, paying a fortune like you'd pay for steak. All right. So that's looking pretty all right there. Okay, dunk it all down. All right, so we just want to bring it back up to the boil. We're going to simmer it for 10 minutes. So once it comes up to the boil, so about there, we want to get it at a slow simmer. We're going to simmer it for 10 minutes, and I guess technically that would be the sealing of it. We're doing this a different way. Normally you will brown the meat first. This way we're actually going to get a really nice, obviously a coconutty curry flavouring going through this by doing it this way, because the meat's nothing's being done to the meat. It's actually boiling, or what would you call it? Poaching is the correct word. It is poaching in the coconut curry sauce, so it should be pretty good. All right, so bring it to the boil. Once it starts simmering, pop your timer on for 10 minutes. Once that timer goes off, on for an hour, and I will catch you then. I'm going to go find coriander, measure out some coconut flakes, and chop up the chili and throw out the munted chili. All right, see you soon. Okay, so our 1 hour's up and it's still simmering away beautifully. So we need to get our 1/2 cup of shredded coconut, and we're going to sprinkle that over the top. We need to give it an extra 20 minutes. While that was going on, I've measured out the rice for 6 people, and I've managed to throw both chilies out because they were crap. So that's our 1/2 cup of coconut. So I've got no chili for the top, but you don't have to put chili in. That's an optional extra. And because the coriander was frozen, I've just chopped it up like that. So pop your timer on for another 20 minutes and we'll check back in soon. Okay, so the buzzer's gone off for the 20 minutes. Check your beef to make sure it's tender enough. It looks like it is. Add your chili and your coriander leaves. I haven't got coriander leaves, I've got chopped coriander from the freezer. So if you've got fresh coriander, go for that. Alright, and it is time to dish up. So thank you for watching this episode of Cooking with Violet Vixen beef rendang. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!